always want to look at the instructions, see what it's asking you to do. With this type of question, to work out the code that has been used, and then you'll need to encode or decode the word. So this is going to be step 1, and this is going to be step 2. So what does it mean by work out the code that's been used? Well, here it is. So if the code for dream is this, that means dream has been coded into this. We first have to work out how was it coded into that, and then we're going to have to do what this is asking us to do. Let's go over question 4. Let's look at what code it is. Let's try and figure out what the code is. All you have to do is go from L to M. How did you get from L to M? You added by 1. How did you get from E to F? You added by 1. How did you get from N to O? Added by 1. How do you get from D to E? Added by 1. Okay, so this one's easy. All you have to do is add 1 to all of them. So let's add 1 to D. You get E. Add 1 to O. You get P. Add 1 to O. You get P again. And add 1 to R. And you're going to get S. So EPPS. That's our answer for question 4. And now it's given us a second question. What does it mean? You always have to just do it in the reverse if you have to decode it, right? So N minus 1 is M, B minus 1 is A, M minus 1, go backwards, sorry, L, and F minus 1 is E. There you go, male. There you go. And that's your answers to question 4. I'm going to look at question 8, see if we can find an easier answer to this. If the code for lend is KDMC, what is the code for nose? Alright, so L to K, let's have a look at what's going on here. How did we get from L to K? We had to just minus by 1. How did we get from E to D? Minus by 1. How did we get from N to M? You minus by 1. And how did you get from D to C? You minus by 1. So this is another easy one. And that's the same thing that we just have to do to nose. So N minus 1 is M. If we go backwards from O, it'll get us N. If we go backwards from S, it'll get us R. If we get backwards from E, it will get us D. There we go. M and R D, and that's our answer. So what does OKNS mean? It's just going to be the opposite. Again, you have to do it in reverse. So if we went backwards for this one, we're going to have to go forwards. O plus 1, it gets us P. K plus 1 gets us L. N plus 1 gets us O. S plus 1 gets us T. There you go, plot. And that is your answer for this one. There's not really any trick to it. I think the main thing is getting some practice in on all of these different types, so you get used to all of these different codes and you get used to the different types of problems that they might give you. So they might have like a code that's +1, +3, +5, like that, right? And you have to always figure out the rest of it as well, because it might change, right? You never know. I'm just going to show you a quick. The next snippet is going to be of me actually making that same mistake, where I sort of assume that because I figured out the code for the first 3, I thought I knew the rest of it, but I didn't, so I had to redo it. But yeah, with this, just practice it, just keep trying to get faster and faster, basically being able to look at the alphabet and figure out what it is. No real trick to that. So yeah, it's done something to get from D to E. What you can see here is it's added by 1. And how did it get from R to T? It added by 2. How did it get from E to H? It added by 3. And that way we practically know that basically every time it moves on, first it's going to add this by 1, then it's going to add this by 2, and then it's going to add this by 3, right? We have to add the 1 to T, so that's going to be U. Add 1 to A, sorry, add 2 to A, that's going to give you C. Increase B by 3, so 1, 2, 3, that gives you E. And then you have to increase L by 4 and E by and E by 5. So let's just have a look. If we add 4 to L, it gives us P. And if we add 5 to E, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, it gives us J. And there you go, that's our code for table. In the same way that Dream was coded to Ethsian. And this is why you're sort of always given this alphabet in the exam, just to make it a lot easier. So make sure you use it during the exam. Sometimes it will give you a second question, like it's done here, and it's relating to the first question, and it's saying, what does TVDTF mean? Well, we know how to uncode the letters, because all we did here was +1, +2, +3, right, to get to here. So if we just had to figure out how do we get backwards, so how do we get from ETCN to Dream? It's going to be the opposite, right? So to get from E to D, you just did -1. To get from T to R, just did -2. To get from H to E, you did -3, right? So this is going to be -1, -2, -3, -4, -5. So let's just go ahead and start that off. I'm going to actually type it in here. So T -1 is going to be S. V -2 is going to be T. D, is it D the next word? Yeah, D -3 is going to be A. And what was the next word? T -4, so 1, 2, 3, 4 is going to be P. And you can see a word is coming out here. And F -5 is going to be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. A. Hold on. STAPA. Okay. What I've done here is I've made a massive mistake. Because what I've done is I've assumed. Alright. We'll have to go back. So I'm gonna have to cut in to where I've gotten up to E. So you see E, right? So this was +3. Now the problem is I haven't looked at what this was. So A to C, that was +2, and M to N was +1. C, it actually goes +1, +2, +3, +4, no, +2, +1. So it goes back down, right? That means this one's going to be +2, this one's going to be +1. L +2 is going to be N, and E +1 is going to be F. So that is our code, and let's do the same thing to this. So we got ST A, and then we have to do T -2, which is going to be R, and then T F -1, which is going to be E, right? So there you go, stare. But that's a good example of what to do, or like why you have to make sure that you look at the rest of the code before you carry on, and what to do if you come up with a word that doesn't actually make sense, because the chances are that the question isn't wrong, it's probably you that are wrong, so that's why you have to retry it. And obviously that wastes a lot of time, so don't make that mistake during the exam, but it's a good thing that if you make that mistake in person.